Alright, Power's tutorial number 2 for RPGRules. We're going to have a look at PowerMelee. So we'd previously made a PowerDirect, and I'm just going to simplify that down a little bit so we can use it for comparison. So it has 0 effects, it always does 6 damage, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And now we'll make a PowerMelee. Now, PowerMelees basically are just PowerDirects with a short range, with a range of 2. That's it. So we'll get this one to do 6 damage as well. As an instant attack. That was instant, yep. Do the punch. We'll have the spang effects on it. Give it alternate animations and generic trail effect there, and maybe make it crushing colour and style and do crushing damage. So these two are both doing 6 crushing damage. We'll give that to Miss Amazing. PowerDirect Force Cocoon, we'll give her this PowerMelee here, this punch, and see how that works. So, hang on, PowerDirect, we put a condition in there we don't want anymore. So, that does 3 damage to the robot because it's got resistances. That does 4 damage consistently. I wonder why. So, yep. I made PowerMelee just derived from PowerDirect. It automatically sets the range to 2. It gives the different icon in here, gives it a fist. There are a few little differences as far as the game's concerned. I mainly, I could have just left that you make a PowerDirect with a range of 2, and I found that it was a little bit confusing to me, the designer, to not have them set up as PowerMelees. So the two differences are, you can have conditions. That's the condition, hang on, power condition. Wait, conditions powers, power type condition, where you can tick melee and that sort of thing. So you might, for example, have a character who's on fire or electrified, has a counter that does damage to anyone who attacks them, but only does damage with melee attacks. And that way this will register as a melee attack and this one won't. The other one is the reason why I was doing more damage. Miss Amazing has got a strength boost in her passive powers of plus 60, and therefore when we have a look at her, we can see she's got a strength of 70 there, plus 60% to melee damage. And if we look at her stats, you can see melee damage 60% extra there. So the punch gets that damage bonus, this one doesn't because it's tagged as a ranged power. But the punch does more damage. It's doing, 4 and a bit, not quite 5. So that's what melee powers do. They basically register as melee for melee damage and for power conditions. So there isn't a lot more to say about them. Everything said about PowerDirects applies here. Whether they root you or not, whether you can use them while held, whether you can use them while holding an object. You could have a kick that you could do for that. Melee powers basically work to just turn you to face the target. If you're within 2 meters range of them, you play the animation. When the animation event hits, you hit the target with that power. There's no extra colliders on your fists or anything like that in the RPGRules system. What I'll do is I'll just quickly talk about the weapon system as well. So we'll give Miss Amazing a weapon. Any character, you can say default equipment, and we'll give her a stun baton, which we talked about earlier. Now the stun baton, it does 5 to 10 damage and adds a stun baton payload, which does 5 extra damage, does a stun, 5 extra electrical damage, and it applies it only to right hand melee powers. So if you're punching with your right hand, basically. So we will give, yeah, we've given Miss Amazing a stun baton now, and we'll go and have a look at how that works. So if we do a PowerMelee now, nothing much really changes. She's just sort of holding that thing in her hand. If, however, we go to our power that we made, the PowerMelee one, we can say this is going to have a weapon damage factor of 2. Works with the right hand weapon, and we'll do 0 base damage, so it's going to do twice whatever the damage of the right hand weapon does. That was 5 to 10, this should now be doing 10 to 20 damage. Yep, and you can see there's a little extra tick of electrical damage, that's 2 there, that we get from using the stun baton, because this is a melee power. If, however, we use the ranged attack, we don't get that extra 2 damage. We just get the base damage of the power there. Yeah, if we were to give her another weapon, let's have a look at what we've got there. I think we've got a sword. Yep, here we go. And that does 5 to 10 damage as well. Let's beef that up to 10 to 15 damage, the sword. And we will give Miss Amazing, instead of the stun baton, drop the sword in there. And there we go. That same power is now going to do more base damage. Should probably untick alternate animation, I think, at that point. But yeah, you know, this works for Diablo type fantasy games where you want your characters to collect different weapons, and then your skills, which you're using, do weapons based on the weapons based damage, kind of. Yeah, so that, if we go back to Miss Amazing, to PowerMelee, that's, I think, pretty much all there is to say about melee powers here. They're basically short-range direct powers, but they are enhanced by your strength rather than your ego, and they, you know, like all powers, can use the weapon damage. There's nothing specific about PowerMelee with using that weapon system. You can have wands that do different damage, base damage if you want, and have all spell effects do a multiple of the wand damage. Like Torchlight 2 does that. So you can set that up that way if you want. Yep, that's PowerMelees.